Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for hopping on to today's my529 workshop. We're really excited to have a special guest, Scott, here with us today to be chatting about all of the things that we need to know about my529 and how it is of benefit to you and your loved ones. So we're really excited that you're here. We've got quite a few participants hopping on as well as in the next couple of minutes. So Scott, I'm going to let you take it away from here, and I'll be here if anybody has any questions. So throw those in the chat as we go throughout, and I can bring those to your attention, Scott.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for joining us over the lunch hour. I greatly appreciate your time, and hopefully we can make this a very educational lunch hour for you. So as Brittany said, my name is Scott. I work in marketing outreach here at my529. I've done so for about the last 12 years. So to that end, why I'm here is to talk about 529 plans and how they work. So to kick things off, first of all, my529 is Utah's official 529 educational savings plan. Most states have their own 529 plan. Some states have multiple 529 plans. The only one in the state of Utah, which kind of allows us to use that official moniker. What we do is we help families nationwide save for college, but as an organization, our focus is on Utah and Utah families to help them save for college. We've been doing this for going on 29 years now. And to give you a little more information just about how we work, we're a direct sold program. So that means that you come directly to us to save for college. So you don't need a financial advisor or an accountant to open the account for you or manage the account, which is good because that means you're not paying commissions to them to manage your account. Our oversight is the Utah Education Savings Board of Trustees. So that's who we report to. We are a self-supporting state agency, so that doesn't the bank. All those things, the fact that we report to a board, we are a state agency, and you don't need an advisor, an accountant, that allows us to keep our fees pretty low. And low fees are always a good thing in this business. It means that more stays in your account and goes to college, and less goes into the pockets for managing the account. We'll start off with just this quick little video, and it gives you kind of like a high-level explanation of what a 529 plan is.
You may be familiar with using a Roth IRA to save for retirement, but have you considered using a 529 plan to save for your child's or grandchild's education expenses, like tuition, fees, and books? A 529 plan is another piece of the financial planning puzzle. It offers a tax-advantaged way to save money for education. You can put money in your account at your pace, save how much you want when you want. Growth on your investment is tax-deferred, and withdrawals are tax-free when used for qualified education expenses like tuition, fees, room and board, books, computers, even internet access. You can use 529 funds so that your beneficiary can attend college, university, trade or technical school, or graduate school anywhere in the United States or abroad that is qualified to participate in federal student aid programs. Whether you can save for all of your beneficiary's education costs or just able to save for part, everything you save makes a difference. For example, perhaps your savings could cover tuition, or books, or room and board, and saving costs less than borrowing because you will not have to repay loans with interest. Even small amounts add up when you contribute regularly. And the earlier you begin saving, the longer your education funds have potential to grow. My 529 accounts are free to open, and no minimum contributions or minimum balances are required. So the best time to start saving for education is when your beneficiary is young. The next best time is today. Visit my529.org to learn more. You may be familiar.
So the first thing you'll do is if you're interested, the first thing you'll do is open up an account. And when you do that, you'll need to identify who the account owner is, and that is typically going to be you. That is the person who owns and controls the account. So when you open the account, it's not that the beneficiary runs it, the account owner runs it. The account owner must be 18. They must have a social security or tax ID number, and a physical U.S. address. Account owners, like the video said, can be parents, which are most of our account owners, but we also have grandparents, aunts and uncles, and a variety of other type of account owners as well. The next thing we'll ask is, who are you saving for? And that's going to be the beneficiary. The beneficiary can be anybody you want to save for, but they too must have a social security number or tax ID number. Please be aware, though, that there is only one beneficiary per account. So if you have more than one kid or one child and you would like to save for their accounts, it's best to have an account for each child and not try to save into one account. The most of our beneficiaries, like I said, are children from the account owners, but we also have grandchildren, nieces, nephews, godchildren. Some people save for their neighbors. You can even save for yourself or your spouse or significant other if that's somebody that you would like to save for, and you or your spouse have desires to further your education. So the next thing you're going to do is choose an investment option, and this is where a lot of people get tripped up. So hopefully when we go through, as I go through this, it'll help make it a little bit easier for you. Each my529 contribution you make is invested based on the investment option that you select. We have 13 different investment options, and that sounds like a lot. But if we break it down this way, hopefully you can pick out which bucket was best for you and you can figure it out from there. The investment options include stocks, bonds, or principal preservation funds, or a combination of those three. So our investments fall into three buckets. That first one there on the left is going to be your target enrollment date option. And those are divided into 12 portfolios based on the beneficiary's estimated date of enrollment in higher education. So basically, the date on the portfolio you invest in is going to be the date that your beneficiary would graduate high school and start college. So investments range from very conservative to very aggressive. Conservative means that we use more bond funds or funds that preserve capital, stable value, or an FDIC insured account, while aggressive means we're going to be using more stock-based mutual funds. Our target enrollment date portfolios are similar to like target date enrollment funds that you would use in retirement. So basically, if you have a younger beneficiary on a target enrollment date, those tend to be more aggressive. And as your beneficiary gets older, that portfolio will matriculate to a more conservative investment mix. And then it will be very conservative at the point where you're ready to use the money for college and they are enrolled in college. Account owners have the flexibility to choose the target enrollment date portfolio that aligns with their goals and risk tolerances, so you don't have to pick the portfolio based on your child's age or what year they would graduate. You're free to choose whichever portfolio best matches your investment objectives and risks. We also have 10 static options, and those also range from really aggressive, like 100% total stock index fund, all the way down to FDIC insured accounts. So if you choose a static option, just be aware that you will stay in that investment option until you log in or submit a form to change that investment option to something else. We also have two customized options where you can build your own investment allocation. And those are for people who have a really good understanding of investing and are comfortable with making a mix that fits their investment style and objectives. You can select how aggressive or conservative you want your investment to be at my529. And from a variety of investment options, you can choose the option that best meets your needs. When you open an account with my529, just so you know, it isn't and we are not able to provide investment advice because we are not registered advisors. We just manage the program. But funds are invested, and unless they are in an FDIC insured account, they're not guaranteed. So we always like to remind people that, you know, investments can lose value. Like I said, you can change your investment option if you feel like it's not meeting your investment objectives. You get 2 investment option changes per calendar year. So if you find one that's performing better, or you'd like to move to something that's a little more conservative, or perhaps you want to be a little more aggressive, you are free to log in and make those changes. Like I said, you have 2 of those per year. Nice thing is we don't have it on this presentation. We do have another video on our website. You can either go to our investment or video library or investment option page, and we do have an investment options video there that helps explain this a little bit better as well. The big reason why people end up using 529 plans is typically the tax advantages. So let's see. This guy will now describe
Tax advantages help it stand out from other types of investments. Did you know earnings in a my529 account accrue tax deferred from federal and Utah state income taxes? That means that earnings in your account aren't taxed each year, and that increases the potential for your money to grow. Utah taxpayers can even claim a Utah state income tax credit for contributions to their my529 accounts. What's more, account owners can claim the Utah state income tax credit for each qualified beneficiary for the life of the account, as long as it was opened before the beneficiary turned 19. When your beneficiary is ready to use the funds, you can withdraw the money tax-free if the funds are spent on qualified education expenses, including tuition, fees, books, supplies, required equipment, and internet access. Even room and board counts as qualified expenses for students attending at least half-time. It's the perfect way to save and help pay for you or your loved one's education. My529 tax advantages.
All right, looks like that's the end of that one. So in addition to the tax-free growth and the tax-free withdrawal when you use it for qualified education costs, Utah account owners, if you're a resident of Utah, you also get a Utah state tax benefit where you get a 4.5% state income tax credit per qualified beneficiary on contributions. So if you are an individual who files a single tax return, you can contribute up to $2,490 during the 2025 calendar year, and you'd receive a $113.30 tax credit. You can double those numbers for joint filers, as they would be able to contribute $4,980 in 2025, receiving a $226.59 tax credit. And remember, those are per beneficiary. So if you max out multiple accounts, you would get that state tax benefit per account. And just a reminder that the tax credits here are dollar for dollar offset of your state tax liability. I mentioned fees at the beginning. Our fees are among the lowest in the industry. So that's one thing that we really strive for. Our organization believes in keeping the fees low because we are here to help you save for college and not to, take people's money and run the program. The fact that we have lower fees means that, again, more money stays in your account, and that allows you to grow and hopefully pay for those college costs. You've got the account open. How do you contribute to it? We try to make it as easy as possible for people to contribute to their account. We want to, if you look at the slide here, you would be able to see that you can contribute to a my529 account in much the same way that you contribute to a bank account. The one thing I'd like to highlight is we do have a gift program. Once you open up an account, you can activate the gift program feature, the gifting feature in your account, and that will give you a unique gifting code. And you would take that code and you can give that to friends or family, and then they could use that code on a check or online to make a contribution to your account. And the fact that we're using that code means we know exactly which account it goes into, and it saves you from having to give out account numbers and stuff that you probably don't want floating around in public. So that's one thing that we really enjoy. But most of the people will contribute in much of the same ways that you contribute to your bank account. The one thing we always get asked is, how much should I be saving? And again, we can't give that advice because we're not registered advisors. But we do at my529.org have a free college savings estimator. You can take your phone out and you can scan that QR code. It should take you to that page and pull that page up, and you can play with it whenever you like. but allows you to plug in a bunch of different numbers, and it allows you to explore the possibilities and different saving scenarios that would play out. It's a really fun tool and it will help you visualize what you could pay for, and what it is you intend to save. So why do people save? The people save is we want to help, our beneficiaries achieve the most out of their lives. And according to a recent brief released by the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute up at the U, those who attain higher education degrees tend to have the potential to earn more income. They also have better health outcomes because they tend to have jobs that will allow them to have better health care coverage. So, the biggest reason is that will give your child a leg up in life and hopefully give them the ability to reach their fullest potential. In terms of contributions, a lot of people, go back to how much should I contribute? Again, we can't say how much, but we can just say that every little bit makes a difference. As you can see, you can a little bit will just add up in terms of, it may not pay for the whole thing. In fact, most of the account owners that we have don't have an account balance that will pay for the whole thing, but most of them will have some enough in there to pay for books. They can pay for maybe just tuition and board. Maybe they can cover the fees, or maybe they can get a nice computer for their beneficiary. While they're not paying for the whole thing, they are using their money to help offset some of those loans. And it's just easy to remember that a dollar saved is a lot cheaper than a dollar loaned, because you don't have to pay the interest back on the money that you have saved.
Hey, Scott, I have a quick question
Yes.
that came
Sure.
through in the
Sure.
chat.
Sure.
So there's two. First question, can I
Okay.
do direct deposit from my check to my529?
As long as you guys allow multiple deposits from your check, you can set up contributions directly from your payroll.
Awesome. Okay, so that would be more of a payroll question. Nissa, I can get back to you on that, more specifically on our end, no problem. And then second question, what happens to the money if I save more than my child ends up spending on school?
I have a slide for that, so give me a minute and
Perfect.
we'll get to that. But we have many different solutions for people that are in that boat, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. So here's again, I think we've hammered the point, but we'll watch this video real quick. This is how you can use your funds. Oh, the video went away. Let's see if we can go back. There we go.
You may be saving money in a my529 account for your child's education. Did you know the earnings in your account can grow tax deferred? And withdrawals are tax-free when used for qualified education expenses. Your beneficiary can enroll in post-secondary education just about anywhere. They can use money from their my529 account to attend any college, university, or trade or technical school, or graduate school in the United States or abroad that is qualified to participate in the federal student aid programs. And qualified education expenses include tuition and fees, books and supplies, computers and internet access, room and board for students attending at least half-time, K-12 tuition expenses up to $10,000 per year, registered apprenticeships, and repayments on qualified education loans up to certain limits. Setting aside money in a my529 account expands opportunities for your beneficiary, giving them a chance to work towards their dreams. Learn more at my529.org.
So the my can be used at any eligible education institution that's public or private in the United States. And an eligible institution is basically any school that accepts federal student aid programs. So if you can get a student loan to go to that school, you can use your 529 funds there. So it's not just for schools in Utah, it's in every state across the country and abroad. If you look at this illustration, you'll see a bevy of different types of schools and institutions that we have sent my529 funds to. So these are account owners that have logged in, made a withdrawal, and had the withdrawal sent directly to the school. What this doesn't show is the account owners who had the withdrawals deposited into their bank account or the student's bank account to pay for expenses that they may have incurred outside of the tuition and room and board expenses. We've highlighted a few different kinds of schools. You can see, you've got, University of Alaska is a public school. You got Carroll College, a private school. You've got Three Rivers Community College. You've even got Fashion Institute of Technology. So you can see it covers a litany of the school types from public, private, junior college, even tech schools. With the new funding bill that was passed, they did up the K through 12 tuition expenses up to $20,000. And it also includes continuing education or certificates. So you can use 529 monies for that now. Be advised that that is a pretty new caveat. So we are still trying to figure out what continuing education and certificates mean in terms of, how do we know it's a legitimate certificate program that gets a qualified cost. So while those are there, we are still looking for clarity on it, but you can use 529s for certificates and continuing education now as well. So this is, I think this will answer the question that we had. What if plans change? There are no time limits on when you can use an account. So if the beneficiary wants to go later in life, you can always use it there. At that point in time, you can make what's called a non-qualified withdrawal from your account. And those are for anything that doesn't cover, the tuition, room and board, books, fees, computer-related costs. If you do that, it's like a Roth IRA. There's going to be income taxes on the gains and a 10% federal penalty on the gains. You are contributing post-tax dollars to a 529 account. So remember that part's not going to be taxed or penalized, just the growth. Utah residents who took the Utah state tax credit must add it back. And you simply do that by adding the amount of the withdrawal back to your income on your state tax returns. There are a few exceptions to those rules. There is no penalty tax or add back if you receive a scholarship, so you can withdraw the amount of the scholarship. So if your beneficiary gets about a $4,000 scholarship, you could withdraw $4,000 and you just be paying taxes on the gains, no penalties. If your child decides to attend a service academy, Army, Air Force, Navy, Merchant Marine Academy, or the Coast Guard Academy, those do not come with any costs. So you would be able to withdraw the amount in your account. And again, you'd only be paying the taxes on the gains, no penalties. And it also does not apply if your beneficiary were to pass away or become disabled in a way that they would not be able to attend school. There are no time limits, like I said. Some other options are you can always leave, if you have money left over, you can leave open for beneficiaries other. So if they want to go on and get like a master's or a PhD, or if they want to go to med school, law school, or anything like that, you could use it for those expenses. You can transfer the funds. There's no fees associated with that, but you could transfer the funds to another member of the family. And that's defined by the IRS. Fortunately, it's a pretty generous definition. So it's a pretty broad definition of family, but you could use the money for somebody else in that beneficiary's family. You could change the beneficiary on the account. Again, there's no cost to that, to a sibling, or you can hold it for the next generation, like a grandchild. And one of the other, not in this past bill, but in a previous bill that was passed within the last 18 months, you can now roll over up to, I believe it's $30,000 into a Roth IRA for that beneficiary. So you'd be able to roll over money into a retirement fund. And you would have to, there certain conditions, you got the contribution limits as well associated with the Roth IRA, but you would also be able to move some of that money into a retirement fund. Bottom line, what we like to remind people is that the fund is the money is theirs, the funds are theirs. So you are free to do with it with what you would like. So at that, if this is something you're interested in, you can scan the QR code. This will take you to our website, and we'll walk you through the process of opening up an account. just remember, they're free to open. You can contribute what you want when you want. We always ask people to read the program description before opening an account because it'll give you it tells you how we will act and what we expect from you, and how the program works. Couple last things: we do have a couple scholarship programs that we run in the summertime, usually from about May through July. We have the Book Your Summer, which is your local library. If you join the summer reading program at your library, you can enter for a random drawing to win a $2,000 scholarship from us. Additionally, in September for College Savings Month, we have the Make Your Mark bookmark contest, where if your child wants to design a bookmark and submit it, if it gets picked by our judges, you will get, that beneficiary will also get a $2,000 scholarship account from us. If you want to find us on social media, that's where we're at, all the normal places. And then I think I've read all the fun disclosure, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with disclosure in your rules. Like I said, nothing's guaranteed unless you're in the FDIC. Please read the program description. The other one is, if you're not a state of Utah resident, we always invite people to look at their home state's 529 plan. Much like Utah has a state tax credit, many other states have a state tax benefit that makes their plan more beneficial to them than our plan. So to that pretty much takes me to the end, and I will stop sharing and I will answer any other questions that people may have.
All righty, I'm not seeing any other questions coming through. Oh, we do have one. So the question is, so you can switch beneficiaries without charge?
Correct. Yep. We don't charge any fees with any account management stuff. So if you want to change the account owner, the beneficiary, the investment option, if you want to change the contribution amount, all that stuff, we don't charge fees if you need to log in and do some administrative cleanup on your account and change stuff like that, changing addresses. We don't charge it stuff. All that we don't nickel and dime you on that stuff.
And then a follow-up, even if the new beneficiary wasn't listed at the time of sign up.
When you open up an account, you do have to have a beneficiary on there. So if you open it up for little Stevie and you're like, well, you know what, Stevie doesn't look like he's going to go to college, so I'm going to switch it to Nikki. You would log in, and then you would just go through and we would, again, just what's the new beneficiary's name, what's the new beneficiary's social security or tax ID number, what's the new beneficiary's address. And once you enter in all that information, it would switch the beneficiary from little Stevie to little Nikki. Is that it? Is that the question?
It looks like it, Jennifer. If you need any clarification on that, definitely feel free to request that. Trudy put in the chat, encourage your schools to award students with the my529 scholarship too for challenges that the school offers. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay, another one. What if I have two kids, I spend one, but want to roll over extra funds into the other?
Yep, you could do that. You can roll over funds from one account to another, and no fees with that. You could either roll over the funds, or you could just change it, change the beneficiary. The beneficiary can't have two accounts with the same investment option. So if they are the same investment option for both kids, you would just roll over the funds into the other one. But if they're two different investment options, you have that option of just changing the beneficiary, so that one would have.
Perfect.
So is it easier to sign? Is that the question? Is it easier to open up two if I have two kids? I'll say this. If the state tax benefits per beneficiary, so if you're going to put in more than those state tax limits, it would behoove you to have those two accounts open that way. So if you went over even $100 on the state tax limit, you put $100 in the other one, you would still get the state tax benefit. You wouldn't be cut off on that $100. The biggest reason to have two different accounts after that would be if your kids are going to be in college at the same time, making two different and you'd be making withdrawals for both of them from the same account, because you would have to switch the beneficiary, wait for the beneficiary switch to happen, log in again, make the withdrawal, and then it takes a day or two for the withdrawal to process and stuff like that. So you'd be logging in and managing multiple times to make one withdrawal for each child. Whereas if you had two accounts for the kids that were in school at the same time, you would just log in and say, I need money to go here for child A, I need money to go here for child B, and then you could log out and you would be done making your transactions. You wouldn't have to keep logging in and out. If they're far enough apart, you could very easily jackpot one account and then just change the beneficiary once the older kids is done with school. There's no rule against that, and it's fine. I would say the two biggest reasons to have two separate accounts is if you're going to hit that state tax limit, or if you're gonna have two kids in school at the same time.
So it sounds like there's a lot of flexibility with swapping beneficiaries,
Yeah.
depending on the
Yep.
needs,
You
which
can
is
keep
awesome. There's
swapping
no
them if you
restriction.
want.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And like she said, I saw that her kids were 3 years apart. So you could very easily have one account for them for the first 3 years. And then, you might want, if you're okay with managing one account for 2 year, you can go for it. You just got to remember to switch the beneficiary before you make the withdrawal for the each individual child, because if you get audited by the IRS wants to see that the invoice from the school and the withdrawal confirmation from us have the same name on them, and that the withdrawal amount matches the expense you are trying to cover. So just remember that before making withdrawals for one kid and another kid, to make sure that you've changed it and you're making withdrawal for the right kid.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I know you said that there can't be multiple accounts for one person. So say for my child, if his grandmother has an account open for him on my529, am I then not allowed to create one for him as well? Or
So
is it just dependent on the person?
No. So a kid can have multiple accounts. An account cannot have multiple kids. So
Gotcha.
you could
Okay,
open
that
5
makes
accounts for your one child if you want. So like you could
Okay.
have a target enrollment date for your child, you could have a customized for your child, you could have a static for your child, as long as they're not in the same one. And then your parents could have one for your child, your spouse's parents could have them for your child. So your child could have dozens. You just can't have more than one kid on there, if that makes sense. So like one
Yes.
account, one child. But a
Gotcha.
child could have dozens of accounts.
Okay. This is really great clarification and really great questions, you guys.
Yeah, these are really good questions.
Any other questions that you'd like to ask while we've got Scott here? Oh, at what age can you open a Roth IRA with 529 funds?
So the Roth IRA caveats, again, that's a relatively new one, so we don't have extreme clarity on it. We have a little bit more. The 529 account has to have been open for 15 years before you can roll over money to a Roth IRA. So at any point, you would be, after that 15 years, as long as the beneficiary in the 529 account is the same as the beneficiary in the Roth IRA, you would be able to roll money over at that point in time. So if you opened up an account and your kid was aged 0, right at birth, and you were to save for 15 years, when your child turns 15, theoretically, you would be able to start moving money over from a 529 account to a Roth IRA. Just remember, Roth IRA does have its contribution limits as well. So a rollover from a 529 account would count against your Roth contributions limits. Well, is there an age limit to how the beneficiary can be when you open the account? No, you can be any age you want. You could say for yourself, you could say for your spouse, you could say for grandchild. We tell people the younger the better. but saving at any age is better than not saving at all. So, and I didn't catch the second question.
We've just got a testimonial about how easy it is to make withdrawals and to change beneficiaries, and that this is an amazing program, and my kids were very thankful to have this resource when they went to school. So,
oh, thank you. We love to hear success stories. It warms my heart because I'm using it for my daughter and she's 11. So hopefully it works out for me.
I love that. That's awesome. All right. It doesn't look like there's any other questions coming through, Scott. We really appreciate your time, especially going through Q&A as well, as we've got some, it sounds like some folks that are looking into signing up or have and wanting to make changes. So really, really appreciate it. And if you guys have any additional questions for Scott, feel free to send them my way or at the employee wellness email, and then I can send those over to Scott and get back to you if there's any of those niche situations that you're hoping for some clarification on. So the conversation doesn't have to end here. Feel free to check out that information.
Nope. I'm happy to respond to any additional questions people have. We're here to help. So no question is a dumb question. This is important to understand if you're going to get into it.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Thank you, Scott, so much for your expertise. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, and this will be recorded too. So if you've got any coworkers that would find of interest or benefit, or a loved one, feel free to share this recording with them and they can get the same education that you received today. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Bye.